Hey y'all there, virtual crafters and city restorationists. Thanks for clicking. Welcome. How are you doing? Ready for a dive into Critter Cove? If you're finding this video but don't yet have the game, I encourage you to check out a previous video that I've done about the game's features and download the demo on Steam. I'll link the video in the corner above and the demo down in the description below. Just to let you know, the game save of the demo will carry over to early access should you decide to purchase it, so you don't have to worry about starting over. Hopefully this will be a useful guide to you in your new endeavor getting this rundown island back into tourist-worthy shape. So let's get to it. We have a lot of work to do. But first, we have this wonderful, fabulous, fantastical character creator, where we can just mix and match features from humans, animals, and robots to make something truly original. There's little icons up here at the top for heads, eyes, hair, body shape, body size, plus tails and additional features. Each of these tabs is full of options, each one which can be fine-tuned across a panel color picker. There's just so many choices from cats, wolves, bears, tigers, hyenas, deer, mice, bunnies, birds, reptiles, robots, and more, mixing and matching for any combination in between. There's a lot of selection for ears, paws, and claws, even wings and fins too. I know it might be difficult to settle on a design or get colors matched up exactly between the different parts of the body, but don't worry. There is a feature which can be unlocked through gameplay that will allow you to alter your character's appearance, not just your clothing or hair alone. So if it's not perfect, that's okay, you'll have plenty of opportunities later. Oh, and it's free. It won't cost you anything to make those changes, or at least until developers might change that in a future release, but they haven't said anything about it. The opening cutscene has us sailing across the ocean blue and arriving at a dock for a rather small island that's looking quite shabby. No sooner have we departed the ship than it explodes into flames and promptly sinks to the bottom of the waves. Captain Anchor sends us up the steps and into town for our first assignment to talk to Renard the Rat, who posted the job listing that we applied for, which got us into this predicament in the first place. Here's where your tutorial begins for the basics of Critter Cove life. Our first two tasks are restoring the place of our own to call home, as well as finding the other island inhabitants, Sammy and Pokey, both of which can be found along the beaches on either side of the island. To build our home, we'll need a few sticks and stones that can be collected along the way. But first, we must place a deposit box on a home of our choice. No worries here, there's no real wrong choice. Pick a location and an exterior that you prefer, as all the interiors will be exactly the same layout and space. Our job on this island is to restore homes and other tourist amenities to prepare for incoming tourists, turning this place back into a profitable paradise that it once was. At the time of making this video, it's an early access launch. At this time, we have 5 shops available to unlock: the cafe, clothing store, bait shop, tavern, and furniture shop. But before we can fix up those along with the other island attractions, we'll first need to wait for the tourism board to show up with their plans to fix the old lighthouse. Plus, we need some tools to do all that labor, but before we get to those quests, we need to deposit these sticks and stones into the deposit box of our new home and finish Renard's greeting quest. It's one of the fastest remodel jobs that you'll ever see, even for a video game. As fast as the scaffolds go up, They come right back down and will allow us entrance into our new house, where we find the standard bed, a table, and 2 chests for storage. Now these storage chests are really neat, as even Renard will tell you in the follow-up, they are connected together. So any storage chest that you can access will be linked to one another by flipping through the arrows at the top of the storage window. Your crafting machines will also be able to pull directly from storage when you're making items, so very useful. Renard will now give you a piece of furniture as a reward, a chair, which you can place down as your tutorial for how to learn to place items. Open up your inventory, select the chair, and then click this icon right down here in the window to open up the building interface. Hold Shift and use the center mouse button to rotate your placement of liking before clicking it down into place. Next, we're in a quick chain to obtain all the tools that we'll need: a wrench, an axe, and a shovel. We start by finding Copperbottom the robot at the beach, stranded there because he got a little wet. Just a few oil drops and he will spring back to life, giving us a speech and the blueprints for a wrench, easily constructed from our player crafting menu with the nearby metal scrap. This wrench is used to disassemble many metal objects and other broken down items. While gathering items by hand won't deplete your energy, activities that use tools will. Note these bars up here in the top left corner. The top red bar is your health, the yellow bar below is your energy, the thin blue line at the bottom is your stamina. Stamina depletes by sprinting, but will quickly renew by slowing down to a walk, but for energy you'll need to eat food or sleep in a bed to regenerate. To get a quick refill, look for berries or drum stalks around the island. Later on in the guide, I'll get to the cooking feature. We'll find Copperbottom again near our future workshop location. This time they have a blueprint for an axe that's needed to chop down all the wooden fixtures that are blocking off the entrance to our workshop. Not only will you gain access to the workshop to fire off some quests and to start your crafting machines, but Pokey will also run up on you saying that they found a bottle lodged in the sand and they want you to come dig it out. Upon further investigation, you find you'll need a shovel, and Anchor the Shark has your solution. Return to the docks for help and get that blueprint for the shovel. When digging up the bottle, you'll find that it marks a map to some ancient cliffside painting and the location for the cooking station, which introduces you to a mechanic for more learning in Critter Cove. And that would be blueprints, which can be obtained in a number of ways. In addition to getting blueprints from NPC quests, they can also be found through these artistic depictions or by breaking down old objects wherever you explore. On the island of the town itself, there are 2 paintings, one for a furniture workbench marked by the bottled map, and another for the fabricator hidden in the cave, which you'll have to swim under the water near a shipwreck to access. Many of your other blueprints will come by way of exploring islands and underwater sites to disassemble or chop up items that are now overgrown or broken. Planters, fences, benches, vending machines, and lots more assorted necessary items for filling out or decorating Critter Cove. While you have a limited amount of recipes in your player crafting to make the bare necessities, you'll need to fill out the workshop with machines to be productive. Copperbottom will get you walk through a whole process for a furnace, fabricator, cutter, kiln, and eventually a loom. Crafting in Critter Cove is often a multi-step process of converting raw materials to components and then into final products. The furnace converts scraps to bars, plates, or beams. Those pieces now head to a fabricator to make frames, pipes, gears, and hinges, for example. The cutter turns your sticks into wood, the loom for thread and cloth, while primarily workbenches are for the final product. One thing that you may want early on in your workshop, besides all these machines, is additional storage, so that you can hoard all of those materials that you've been collecting. To do this, look for broken down trunks during your exploration. Chopping enough of them into pieces will reward you with a blueprint added to the wooden furniture workbench. This trunk can be used just like the ones inside your house. To get exploring, we're going to need a way to get off of this island. This is where Captain Anchor comes in. He's going to provide you with a quest for the most basic of crafts, the bathtub boat, constructed from a coat rack, a lawnmower, and a bathtub. All of these objects can be found on the island. The bathtub near the painting on the cliffside, the lawnmower near the corner wall around the back of the workshop, and the coat rack on a pathway down to the beach for the underwater shipwreck. These approximate locations here on the map. Anchor will assemble all of these together for you and meet you at the docks so that you may name and claim your mode of transportation. There are gathering opportunities both above and below the water. Loot isn't all that random at this point in development, so it's worth noting where you found items that you'll want more of so that you can return to the same location after the storms have passed through. It's the remarkable shift in weather with the rain and often lightning too that respawn all the lootable items. Be sure to be on the lookout for ships that are broken into parts on the surface of the water. They'll be surrounded by crates and barrels full of cooking materials. Almost every one of these that I've found also has treasure chests, or maybe two, which contain clothing or items which customize the interiors of homes. Other things to look out for are things like phone booths, vending machines, ice cream carts. Disassembling enough of these will provide you with blueprints for fixtures that can be crafted and placed around town for tourists to use. Quests will eventually direct you to most of the major locations. The islands are hard to miss as you motor around in the bathtub. Underwater sites will show up as icons on your map. Several of these locations have rotating NPCs which can be recruited back to Critter Cove to work as employees in a local business. At this juncture of the game, loot is really simplified down. We don't have to look for copper, then iron, then gold, just scrap metal. We don't need different types of wood, just sticks. And this is a system that I can definitely appreciate as it relies more on crafting than finding specific materials. If you're having trouble finding certain loot or quest items, I highly recommend using the resource detector, which we were taught early in the game. To craft it, it requires only a few scrap metal pieces and quartz. Put it in your action bar, select it, and it will send out a circular ping across the area. Then open up your map interface and you'll notice that there's icons now appearing for all the loot located in the immediate area. While you're out there gathering, look for consumables. Bushberries, drum stalks, and poconuts also reward seeds at a fairly high rate. But with carrots and sea corns, for example, we'll have to wait on obtaining the recycler for mass farming. Also, look for different types of planters. Size seems more of a style choice. It's not a requirement, as the coconut and nanotrees will still fit inside small planters. We also need a watering can. Pokey will track you down, waving at you with a quest marking the island where you can find the cliffside drawing to learn the recipe. If you zoom in on the map, you can see the approximate location. If you're not seeing it right away, try looking up, as you have to climb a few rocks to get to it. It's the standard routine once you've crafted a planter, or a few. Plant the seeds and follow up with watering daily until they're grown. With the trees, the nanas, and the coconuts, berry bushes, dragon fruit, as well as drumstock plants, you can easily harvest off the same plant as long as you keep watering it. That's some very easy mode farming to help you generate income. This is one of those unique games where we get the underwater farming option. After you fix the staircase of Riley's oil rig platform, he will give you a quest to search the seabeds below for broken aqua planters. Find enough of them and a blueprint will be added to your primary workbench for the small aqua planter. These can be placed on the surface of the water. I found plenty of areas where they can be placed around the docks on Critter Cove. If you look at your seeds, you might notice that the background of the sea corns and the jello loons are a bluish tint. That's what indicates which seeds can be utilized in the aqua planters. And as you might have guessed, plants that are in the aqua planters don't require watering, so it's just a really easy mode way of farming. Here's just a couple more hints relevant to farming. If you're looking for calamari seeds for your aqua planters, you can find a couple of the plants around this sunken ship. And there are also medium aqua planters available in the game, which hold 3 plants instead of 1, which you can find the discarded ones to break down in this same area. If you hadn't already picked up on that last part, getting the recycling machine is how you can turn your existing stacks of harvestables into seeds. This way you can keep steady crops of carrots and seacorns in production. Oh, and last thing, to uproot plants from the planters, use the shovel on the planter to remove the plant. It's time to throw together that cooking station and get to learning how the recipe system works. Undoubtedly, you'll be getting requests for food from your residents any day now. The campfire has only one entry for crafting food, so we'll only do the most simplest of recipes such as a grilled meat. We can upgrade to the cooking station, which is a kettle suspended above a cooking pit, and that allows for 3 foods to be combined together to learn more recipes. When you get out on your scavenger hunts, you'll find ovens that can be disassembled. After finding enough of them, you can craft one of your own, and that will have 5 entries for cooking items. I believe there are currently about 60 recipes in the game that can be discovered through experimenting with these combinations. To cook, we approach the cooking station, the campfire station, or the oven. We open a window and it will ask us for fuel. Any station will accept sticks or planks to power up the flames. At this point, we get a new window that gives us options for experimenting or selecting a recipe that we've already learned down the left side. To experiment, select and insert a combination of items and let it cook. A slop recipe result means your concoction wasn't in the designated recipe list. A successful result will pop up a new blueprint. To cook from blueprints, select the recipe on the left and it will show indicator icons for the requirement to complete the recipe. You will be able to select the number of items that you wish to make from your available materials, and while cooking doesn't currently pull from your storage chest, devs have confirmed that that is to be a future feature coming in the game. Here's a few recipes to get you started. You'll be able to obtain the fishing skill fairly early on. We just need to island hop out to a nearby pile of sand in the middle of the water to have a chat with its only inhabitant. They will provide us with a recipe for a fishing pole. Once we have it crafted, return out to the island for the stamp of approval and you'll be given a follow-up quest to catch 5 guppers. It's easy enough to do right from this island or on your docks at Critter Cove. For folks who receive press copies of the game, we experienced the fishing minigame that consisted of a spam click to keep the fish icon within the range of the box until the meter filled up on the interface. But developers decided to pull this feature last minute and just allow for easy mode. Now all you have to do is cast your line, wait for the fish to hook as it nibbles on the line a couple times, and then click to hold until the fish is reeled in. Very simple, very painless. Fishing can be a pretty good money maker early on, especially in combination with cooking it up for some grilled fish. By building the bait shop on your island, you'll get access to custom hooks to tie onto the end of your line. From what I can tell, experimenting with them so far, they seem to give a higher likelihood of catching specific fish, but I'm uncertain if that's their intended purpose or a complete coincidence. While we're out exploring, we'll encounter critters who are stranded and need some assistance. They'll require you to do a quest for them. When finishing it, you can ask them to take up residence in Critter Cove and put them to work in one of the local businesses. It's also your option to leave them out there. New characters will appear after a storm rolls through, giving you choices over which island residents you have. In future updates, we'll also have the ability to boot residents from the island to recruit new ones, or train them in new skills at school. So if you're not happy with who you recruited, no worries, you'll have some options as time goes on. After each resident is moved in, they'll need a little more of your assistance to get established. First, provide them with a tent for temporary housing. They will eventually stand wistfully next to the door of one of the broken down buildings in town, asking if you think the place is good. If you agree that it is, except for Pokey, they'll ask for your help to get resources to build it by throwing up a donation box, similar to what you did with your remodel on your main character's home. Complete the list of materials, and the next day, they'll be ready to move in. You can increase your relationship with town critters by chatting, doing quests for them, answering the notes from the bulletin board, and giving them a friendship bracelet. This friendship bracelet comes with the nice upgrade of being able to locate those residents on your map anytime by finding their icon. If you're ever bored, standing around and need something to do, check the resident bulletin board in the center of town for the sparkling notes. These requests will show you items required, what the reward will be, and how much rep can be earned. Critters often hand over some decent doubloons, great cosmetic rewards, furniture, or unique items to place around the island to increase your value with tourists. Definitely worth your time doing. And you can keep track of all your relationships with critters by looking in the social tab of the menu. The primary objective in Critter Cove is turning this island into an acceptable tourist trap. A fabulous one even. So most of what we do will revolve around this theme. We need shops, attractions, and amenities in addition to recruiting critters to staff them. Our first on the list is repairing a lighthouse that will guide the tourist cruise ship to our docks. Pin the blueprint to the door of the lighthouse, and a donation box will pop up along with the journal entry to your quest, showing you all the required materials, most of which can be collected around the cove. The light itself, however, will be located on a nearby island. Once finished, give Copper Bottom overnight to finish the construction. With its completion, Checkmark the Beaver will finish his tourism hut in the main town square, which contains all the tourism upgrades for purchase. In this menu are blueprints for the 5 stores currently available in the early access release: the cafe, clothing shop, bait shop, tavern, and furniture shop, along with blueprints for small amenities that will capitalize off of tourist entertainment like food stands and artist easels. This is in addition to all the objects that you can find during exploration, such as the freeze treat cart and the vending machines. Poster boards can be purchased through Checkmark that increase the amount of tourists that flood your island each time they visit to boost your profits. Each shop follows the same formula as building homes. Pin the blueprint to the door, get the donation box, and fill it in. The next day it will be finished and ready for operation. Now we just need to find one of our locals to run it, and critters do have job preferences. You'll find out how enthusiastic they are when you ask them to take the job. They'll accept regardless, but it's good to fit them in where they prefer to be. Sammy was sure excited about working at the cafe. Be sure to roll by frequently to see if they need anything. Sometimes tourists have run them out of stock and they'll need your help with cooking up more dishes for a healthy doubling reward. Pokey shockingly took to running the clothing store quite well. At this location, you'll be able to purchase new styles for your critter and utilize the mirror on the wall that allows you to change your critter's overall appearance. The bait shop is a half-circle metal building that sits along the beach and gives you access to buying fishing lures. The tavern option repairs the hut that's at the docks to serve up drinks in the evening to your guests. And I'll bet you can already guess what's in the furniture shop. The devs have already posted some roadmaps for what to expect in the future. We're soon to get a bakery, a gym, a clinic, a salon for designing custom critters to live in town, and interestingly, a school, which will be able to train our critters into new job skills. So there is plenty to look forward to. If you check your menu for the tourist tab, the profits and details of your business are displayed there. You'll also notice that there are 2 more attractions available but are blacked out, one being the museum, which brings me to a rundown on a couple of major quests in the early access launch release. The museum is a major hub of tourism in Critter Cove, but in order to get it running again, we'll need to do a few steps. The prerequisite quest to opening the museum is getting a wetsuit for deep diving. At some point, Pokey will approach you about blueprints for wetsuits found in the sunken city. To complete this quest, you'll need to bring along a blasting charge or craft one on site. Usually the most difficult part is finding the broken clock, which can also be found within Sunken City. You're looking for one of the tallest buildings that's silverish in color and finish. Get out your scuba gear and dive all the way down to the base of the building to look for an entrance. There will be a door on the left leading to a room with a staircase. Go up several floors until you see an odd giant door that's barricaded shut. It's marked with a wetsuit and scuba tank sign. above the door, and it will have a highlighted area to place that blasting charge. Set it and swim back a bit for the explosion. Enter the room and grab the blueprints on the wall. Return to Pokey with those blueprints and it will prompt for their next request for the 20 rubber needed to make the suit. Upon completion, you're gifted a free suit that can be used for deep water diving. About the time you finish this quest, Renard will run up on you telling you about the museum's missing curator, who can be found on Five Little Crab's lagoon of islands. Once you make your way out to the island, it's hard not to spot the large woolly mammoth, Mrs. Wollington, stranded on the beach. But before she'll agree to go back to Critter Cove with you, you'll need to do a deep dive at a nearby location for an ancient goblet. Take the key she gives you, swim or boat your way over to the location marked on your map that corresponds with the quest. At the back of the underwater villas, you'll find a giant vault door that can be unlocked with the key. Swim inside the small room to grab the goblet, and then you can head to the surface to talk with Miss Wollington. At this point, she'll wade herself out to your boat so you can head back to Critter Cove. Per usual, she needs temporary housing, as in a tent, and she'll place down a donation box in front of the museum so that you can fill it for the museum completion. Once it's finished, you can start donating all of those odds and ends that you've found during your exploration, ensuring that tourists will be happy with their visits. The roadmap indicates that this museum will be getting future expansions and its own gift shop. Now we're going to get into some spoilers about how to get these starting quests done that involves big projects. If you're not into that and want to explore the game yourself, now's the time to look away, but I do appreciate that you checked out the video. Now, I mentioned during the farming section of this video that the recycler is instrumental in making more seeds to fill out your farm. To get this, we need to find a blueprint before it will be added to our crafting workbench. You'll eventually get a quest to go do exactly this. Take a trip out to Boomerang Bay Island, which is shown here on the map. You'll know you found it as there is a dock on the island with a radio station that's also going to come into another major quest line. Search around this island for a cliffside painting that looks like a recycling symbol. Get close enough to it and you'll be able to select a prompt to learn it. It will now show up as a craftable in your crafting table. This useful machine will break down items into the sum of their parts, including seeds from whole fruits and vegetables. Another important crafting machine for your workshop comes by way of painting, although this one is much more hidden. For the solid cutter machine, we'll need to take a blasting charge out to the island of Five Little Crabs, the approximate location shown here on the map. Swim around the outer edge of the islands looking for some rock formations. Behind them is a cave with a pile of rocks blocking the entrance. There will be a highlighted graphic where you can place your blasting charge. Inside, you'll find a painting where you can select the prompt to learn it, and it will now show up inside your crafting table back at the workshop. Circling back to the radio tower on the back of Boomerang Bay Island, you will meet two friendly otter fellows in need of your assistance. First of which is a reconstruction materials for the base of the tower. There will be a list of items that show up in your quest journal by pressing J and selecting the quest. Once you've turned that in, they'll now need some dishes to boost the signal. These can be found scattered around Sunken City. Those dishes can be found on the exteriors of a few buildings, and 4 are needed in total. Next is a broken control panel that we can construct from our crafting workbench with an assortment of scavenged materials. The last step is acquiring a working radio, also located in the underwater ruins of Sunken City. This one was a little more difficult to find, but we have a handy tool for this, that resource finder. It doesn't just help you find regular old materials, but also quest items too. Put it in your action bar and give it a click. Then open up your map and you'll see icons marking the locations of all the items in the immediate area. Look for the radio that matches the graphic in the quest log. You can find it in the base of a light-colored grayish building on the ground floor in a back room. This radio is a useful addition. Interacting with it will give you a weather and tourist report so that you'll know when your next loot or guests will arrive. Hopefully this guide can get you off and running in Critter Cove. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you again for checking it out. I do a lot of cozy games, farming sims, simulators of all kinds really, including car-related stuff. If you have questions this guide didn't answer, ask them down below in the comments and I might have answers. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, y'all, and bye-bye!